It's a great pleasure to be here, and to begin, happy pre-4th of July Day. That would be appropriate. I just wanted to express, as I share the thoughts here, they are cumulative of all that are sitting here and those that are invisibly present with us. So we'll just tune into those vibrations and see where we go. But these words are not just for you, they are for me as well. So just understand that. I did have this sense of request to Andrea to cut short my bio because it sometimes feels like it keeps going on and on and on and on. And that was just fine. But the part of that is, as we celebrate tomorrow, part of that is how are you celebrating tomorrow today? Or how did you tune in with that the day before, the month before, and so forth? Somewhere in my sense of journey, I've come to figure out every day is a special day. Today is my birthday, so is yours. We're sitting here breathing, living life, celebrating in the best way. So it's the day of freedom, and Memorial and Veteran Day and everything is right here. Because inevitably, through the consciousness, tomorrow is to be discovered. We have what we have now. But the part of that is life does give us some curveballs to deal with as we contemplate in our own journey and philosophy. So as I was sitting here just spacing myself into the consciousness where it will lead us, here we are. So some parts of my story as analogy to reflect on your own stories. It took me back 1994, 95. I was somewhere between my high school and college time period. And it was a wonderful time because there were no responsibilities, nothing to care other than doing what I was supposed to do. Wake up and go to school, college, study, finish the day, play, whatever, and then go on to the next day. But in the middle of that, I've just recently been reflecting on the bicycle I had. It took me many years to find my first bicycle. Lots of requests to parents and so forth, just in the divine timing. There was a bicycle there for me. And that bicycle then had no gears. It had one straightforward set. Uphill, downhill, you got to figure it out. And that's what I was just reminiscing is, that was it. So we were a group of 4 friends. And we had only 3 bicycles between the 4 friends. So somebody has to carry the 4th one. So we shared the ride. Halfway up, coming back, same deal. Somebody kept a round robin and we took turns. But we all had the same setup of a bicycle, 1 gear, 1 pedal, your own body strength to take ourselves and whoever was with us forward. It was fun because we didn't realize, at the young age, at that age, your body is working where it's supposed to be, you have the power behind it, and everything. So life came and went. That part of my journey finished. We transitioned to public transport and motorcycle and now car and everything. Coming into the U.S., there were more choices. There was bicycles with 7 gears, 21 gears, 18 gears, 19 gears, so many choices. But my frugality led me up to a 21-speed bicycle. One of our co-workers was saying, I have an extra one. You want to buy? So it was a nice deal. So I bought a bicycle. And no clue how the gears worked, so I had to figure that out. So I have lots of scuffs and bruises because I did not know how to engage the gears and carry on. But that skill set came as I went along. That bicycle came and went out of my life. I inherited another bicycle, a mountain bicycle this time. Whole different ball game. Same amount of body, same amount of strength, same gear ratio, etc., but whole different construct. Now the excitement of I can go into the trail, so I've bumped along in the last few months in saying where my endurance is, how much it spooks me out to be in the forest, not knowing who's going to jump at me, all different parts. But the part of what excitement was just seeing that gradual progression from where the choices in life were and where I have the ability to make different set of choices. Still me the same, but we all grow and expand, and just as we grow and expand, our ability to discern our choices change from that perspective, right? We pick up more aspects of our life that are based on the endurance we have at this point. So if we think we have come through a different rough patch of life on and off, the part of reflection is those that have passed on before us, imagining where their endurance would be. My favorite genre of movies used to be, still is, Western movies. And I've seen only in movies, I've not experienced firsthand. You know, those little horse carriages, and they were driven on bumpy roads. And the endurance they would have to endure the weather and the inclement circumstances. And here I am just jogging along with my bicycle now, same thing. Those bumps feel the same. It doesn't feel that I'm separate from that other than I don't have a horse, I just got myself pushing that part of life. But my wonderful experience of connecting these dots are, life really doesn't change much. No matter where we are, it's no different. And the future generation will talk about the hardships and difficulties we had in this life. They will have their own set of circumstances and difficulties that their future generation will talk about. Remember, that was happening. And there's been a lot of memes going about 2020, that big thing that happened in 2020. But a part of that is that journey of evolution, the wheel is still the same. Our processes are still the same. Our discernment, our experiences, what we build on, allow us to react differently. All right? So in the aspect of the journey of my growth within spiritualism, keeps bringing me that point is, what about me? And I have to learn to separate within the sense of discernment, is it that selfish question, what about me? Or it is about discerning where I am in all this. That growth and understanding that brings me back. So how many of us that sit in the room have ever raised that voice in gratitude? Thanks for the sour, poor experience that I'm having right now. Not because the outcome is good. We're talking about just staying connected in that moment of difficulty. I know somebody in this room has gone through a ringer. I'm looking at that person. But at the same time, I know from my own journey, just recently, just by this exploration and being sitting in the presence of the divine, wherever I am, can I be able to say thank you for no matter what that experience is? And that's why me, or what about me, has come to that point, rather than saying where it's going to lead me, how can I monopolize on this experience? You know, that was a part of me, that still is somewhere a part of me, but the discernment leads me to saying, can I be grateful for whatever's going on for me? Right? And I've come to recognize, why not? You know, growing up into a different faith and accepting spiritualism as my current journey, a lifelong journey at that, I always had that question. If I can be only grateful to God for all the good things that are happening, why can't I give Him the credit for all the not so good things that are happening for me? Right? Makes it so much easier, because then there is no shifting of responsibility here or there. Everything comes from the one source. So the part of the gratitude is, are we able to say thank you for any difficulties we are having? You know, it's very much established saying is, we are never given an experience that we cannot handle. What about that? Is it just a good feeling saying, or is it something to be experienced in its entirety? Now what it does is, when we are in that difficult spot, we open ourselves to so many things, because we are wanting to move out of that experience as quickly and as effectively as possible. So we're calling about our deceased loved ones, we're calling about angels, guides, and anybody that can really amplify to take us from here, put us over there in the better feeling place. Nothing right or wrong with that. But still, once again, the recognition is, are we trying to shift that responsibility to something more than ourselves? But this is collaboration. We collaborate with the higher consciousness, the other side of life, and asking for guidance and healing and wherever we need to be. But we still have to do our part. We say that in the healing prayers in our belief system, and there's the law of action. As anything we ask for, we have to take steps. Spirit is not doing it for us. They might bring you right next to my face, but somewhere I have to make that happen. The law of action puts us into the place of responsibilities. I will do my part. I will take that next step. So my journey with current bicycling status has a lot of recognition. So when I'm coming on a steep incline, I'm calling upon all the angels and guides and Hercules and everything. Bike doesn't move. They don't take from here to there. I have to stay in the movement to keep that motion and figuring out what the best gear ratio is for me to make it effortless or less painful. Then I have to recognize I have to raise my seat up so that my knees are not about to blow up. But the part of what is that realism of life teaches us so many things that we don't recognize. Because I have to learn to adjust the tool that I've been given to enjoy what I'm doing. If this body is the tool, we have to learn to adapt and adjust at all times. It's just a forever process of saying where we are in those things. So the old world of spiritualism, not the modern day spiritualism, but the old world of spiritualism brought in so many free-thinking spirits, living and past. And that's where the religion of spiritualism really thrived, was between those free thinkers. But free thinkers can be said, it's a wisteria wine that has a wonderful blossom and blooms on there. It brings so much joy to a lot of people. But also at the same time, it grows wherever it grows. You cannot say it has a linear fashion to grow. Anybody that has the ability to do free thinking will never go in a linear fashion, vertically or horizontally. It goes where it goes. Soul has no shape. The thought process has no shape. The learning teachings come from many different directions. But us humans have that need to control our environment and outcomes. And we push and pull on those things. Just like I do have to push and pull on my bicycle climbing up that hill. But also at the same time, I have to learn where to put my weight when I'm going downhill. Because I've been scraped and bruised many times just going downhill and doing a washout. But at the same time, the journeys we are all living that life, life does bring us to that halts or abrupt changes where we do not know how to respond to them. But if we trust ourselves, that if we allow ourselves to be less in control, but be a part of that mechanism that's working from our inner core and our soul space, I don't feel we can ever go wrong. None of you have ever gone wrong. The outcome may not look like what you wanted to be, what you desired it to be. I don't think you have been wrong ever. Think about it. Where you sit today, there might be little dots and blips of regrets and not so good feeling places. But where you sit today, are you a better person than where you were? Are you evolving? Are you changing and adapting to those journeys of life? What's the difficult part is when somebody is there living their life and we're drawn into their experience and we want to exactly copy their experience into our own life, not recognizing what their journey could have been. So my other fascination over the last 4 years is this aspect of how people are living such a free life in their veins and just they're going on with their life, creating a sense of freedom. But I'm slowly recognizing that's their path. They are evolving. They're not on my path where I feel in certain aspects I'm much freer than anybody out there. So we cannot really compare one to the other, but we can find similarities that will lead us to the best place. So knowing myself in that journey is recognizing, I think I have a potential to be that way, but I will have to take my steps. I will have to go through my own pathways. Is there? Now we have also learned over our journey of growing up as a kid that we have created our own pathways to response. If anything good happens, we have a certain way to respond. Anything bad happens, we have a certain way to respond, right? But the response can be voluntary, involuntary, or deliberate. But somewhere we have trained ourselves to respond to a certain way of life. Is there? So if those that sit in meditation or a continual growth of your own spirit, you know your cues when you know your spirit is rising to a certain point. You know where it connects you to the next layer of your consciousness, less layer of frequency, so to speak. If those that are trained or exposed to trance work, you would know how your barriers rise to where you know you're no longer in your space, you're connected into something big. It's just a practice. It comes with practice. Just knowing how to respond to it. Everything takes time. This morning I was just fortunate to watch Graham Norton show, if anybody's seen it on YouTube, etc. There was a little clip of Tom Cruise's 5 best moments, and one of the best moments was he can hold breath underwater without any assistance for like 6.5 minutes.
Wow.
So I was listening to that. Part of that is he already had a low heart rate, as he just, I'm paraphrasing that interview, but he was brought as specialist to even drop his heart rate lower so he doesn't need to oxygenate his body. So with a short period of time, he was able to accomplish that. I think we all know his story, that he does his own stunts and all his action. But that was interesting for me, that how in a short period of time, he was able to hold that breath for that long. I think I'm good for like 18 seconds. That's about all I can say. If I push, it might go to 22 seconds, but that's about it. But the part is, as we grow and push on our limits, we need to understand it's okay sometimes to get off that bicycle and plug it along a few steps till we find a place we can jump on it and carry on forward. Same thing for me is I know I cannot swim. I do not know how to swim. I never grew in that environment. So somebody was suggesting to me that, you go take a dive there. I said, I'm not going there. I'm not afraid of the cold. I'm not afraid of the water. But I know 18 seconds won't do me just to dive. Well, wise choice to say, oh, you knew you couldn't swim. You still went in. That'd be like, But a part of that thing is all these discoveries leads us into a sense of recognizing where we can push ourselves, where we need to understand where our limitations are. And then we go about that. So spiritualism, in the hindsight of where I'm bringing all this, is a very living organism of a religion or a belief system where it's all based on our human experiences. Because those that we connect with, those that have passed on, they have lived the similar life that we are living. Our parents, our grandparents, they had their own life. They've been through in some journeys. Is there, I knew where there would have been several conversations in the kitchen. Food got burnt, or they got cooked a little too much, or there's too much salt. Next time, the person that was cooking knew how to fix it, or put it less so that we can add, but we cannot take off. But that's a part of the journey, because they had their own life. They based their experiences and fine-tuned them over time. I will tell you one other quick story. Christmas time was important at the house, because it was more like a community Christmas. So we were not just taking care of our Christmas needs, but the whole community need. And they were from different religions and faith. They were amused by everything that went on. The Santa Claus was there, and the gifts were there, the Christmas tree was up, the lights were up. But when it came time to have preparations for food, that food was made in big batches. And over time, as I grew in maturity, I was starting to recognize this is almost like Mother knows, or my people knew what to get, how much to get to feed how many people. There was no guesswork there. So there was a fine-tuned machine, but that took them how many years of finessing that ability, we don't know. It's almost like a painter doing perfect brush strokes, and here I am. I think I can do that. But unless I put my brush to the canvas, I would know not exactly how to go about it. A part of my journey is within the spiritualism is that living organism that says you keep harnessing your own strengths and weaknesses, and you will fine-tune your instrument. And that part, what allows me to be excited within this religion, is every time I sit in a session or in communication with Spirit, I know this is not a cookie-cutter process. It's going to go the way it's supposed to go. I cannot control any outcome of it. If it's good, it's good. If it's not so good in some capacity, that's how it's supposed to be. So that surrendering into that spirit communication, or blending in with that, is an aspect of trust. If I give them my trust, they will uphold it at all costs. So part of my journey has become so much in tune that sometimes it's okay to just plug along. And sometimes it's okay to say, cut short my resume, because that's okay. Sometimes where I'm recognizing myself as I'm no longer the person I arrived in the U.S. in 2002. I'm in a total different layer of my existence, but how do I handle that? I do not know exactly how to go about it, other than saying, today is the day I'm given. I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to live up to my best potential. So, Are you carrying the tools that suffice your life? Are you carrying the tools on a daily basis that bring that beauty and quality in your own lives? Are you? Do you know your tools? I think that would be the starting point for most of us. Do we know our tools that give us the beauty and quality that we desire? And if you figure that out, then you need to carry those tools on a regular basis. 4 days ago, my communication with Spirit is just at random hours. But this was at 1 o'clock, somewhere 1:30 at night. All I heard was, everything is in divine timing. It's such a beaten down phrase. We hear it so many times. But that was my reminder to myself, everything is in divine timing. And I said, okay, what do we go from here? And my second phrase was, if anybody that is taking their steps in action, making their choices, it's in their divine timing, it's not in my divine timing. So my divine timing doesn't mean it's exactly the divine timing for you, and vice versa. And that was just beautiful itself, because whatever it was supposed to do in my energy field, in my own experience, it allowed me to just completely, without any expectation, surrender in that very moment. Life became much lighter. Because I participate, standing here is all in divine timing. You are sitting here is in your divine timing. So understand, what you take from here is in your divine timing, not my words or their words to take. Whatever you absorb in your life for today, it's in the divine nature of you. So you take that and you just let it shine in your own life. Stephen Covey wrote a wonderful book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. That book I have not read. I am not a reader from cover to cover. I read what Spirit wants me to read. I'm a research scholar. I have like 200 books. I've read 2 pages of every book. But they also tell me which book to go to if I have a need. So it's almost like my own scanning system. And sometimes in the reading, the books are just jumping out and I let the people read what they need to read. But somewhere part of me, what I was saying is, Stephen Covey's last habit is appropriate for all us. No matter what age we are, what journey, station of life we are, we have to keep our skill set sharp. Don't let that saw blade, our instrument, ever dull. Because it takes a longer time to use the same instrument. So keeping our skill set sharp is the best way possible. So is anybody in this room is an active writer? I know one. I know Jerry has written a couple of books. Anybody else is an active writing space? Do you keep your skill set sharp? Part of that is keep doing it every day is what keeps it sharp, because it keeps the muscle of the brain in the free-flowing space. It keeps it in tune with there. But as a part of that experience in this journey is, if we are not living our life and understanding on a day-to-day basis, maybe that's the part we need to also investigate. Am I living the life? Am I one thing, or am I many things trying to be happy wherever I am? If I'm just one thing, then I don't have to worry about being this or that. I'm okay being just this version of myself. And that's the part I feel Stephen Covey is trying to say. Whatever your instrument is, if you know, if you are in tune, that instrument will always stay sharp, no matter what you do. There's a wonderful, inspiring gentleman on YouTube. His channel is called Humbled Road. He used to be a professional photographer. Now he's a master skilled, sought-out technician to convert vans to make your cargo vans into a camper van. Save money, do your thing. He lives up in New Jersey. Very thorough with his job, very skilled. But a part of that is he took one instrument, recognized that that instrument stopped working for him. He had to adapt to life. Because COVID was happening, his work going to go tumbling down. But he also was in tune with himself, what he could do. So he picked up another instrument and sharpened that. And I think he's very sought out technician to give an output to a greater quality. His work is immaculate. If you want to check out his YouTube channel, it's called Humbled Road. But an excellent, just listening to him, just listening to his story is just an inspiration, you know, how you can transition from one to the other. But the skill set is, if we are in tune with ourselves, we would know when it's time to make that change. It's time to know when it's time to stay, it's time to exit, you know, like the song There's a season for everything. So recognize your instrument. It's capable of many things. Your spirit is the one that will always sustain your body. It's not the other way around. Your spirit will sustain your body. We have to understand how to adapt as life throws things at us. So as I bring this term to the closure, the one thing I would really encourage you to adapt is, if you're really going to be celebrating the Freedom Day tomorrow, the Independence Day tomorrow, please think about July 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Are you free in the other days just as much as you think you are free on the 4th of July? Because it's not just the Independence Day here. The independence, freedom comes in our minds. Because if we are not free there, we are not free anywhere. And we have to recognize that.